Welcome back to the Bullet Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. Craig Irwin, Brian Besh, Chris Moran, and should we mention the dude sitting on the other side of the laptop?
He goes by the initials KL.
Oh, Kenny. Kenny Luck. Dude, really, we can't say enough about the guy. He has this radio station, and he lets us
Most
live our
importantly
dream.
is he puts up with us. So.
That ain't no lie. If we had a recording of our off-air stuff, then it would be something else.
We'd probably have a much larger following.
Probably so. Probably so, but we couldn't put it on the airwaves because the FCC would not be happy and Kim would get fined up. But the sponsors will be good.
Yeah.
They would be good. They're like, dude, this is good content. Maybe y'all ought to just take this and put it straight into a podcast and not worry about all the rest of it. But
probably sell some sort of kitty litter ad or something along with it.
More like dog mess. Hey, he's telling us to talk about football. We got to burn 14 minutes of time up. Let us do our deal, right? But
He's going to become director now.
Now he's going to start telling us what to do, you know. So, but we're in the pickems, the area round of the playoffs. Lots of fun here, as this is our favorite segment to talk about, and shows our dumbness and our smartness as we talk about these games. And in the last segment, we talked about a lot of games, but the Corrigan fans on the way to the game is like, man, they didn't talk about Corrigan. Guess what? It's coming. I promise you. First game in the Pick'em, 6A Division II, New Caney versus Tomball. New Caney perfect on the season. Tomball 7-4. Spring playing at Ford Stadium. The winner to face Rockwall and DeSoto. And I feel like whoever wins this game is hitting a roadblock.
Yeah. I mean, and I know the roadblock you're talking about because DeSoto they pump out just crazy good athletes every single year. I really, and I guess I'm going to go first. I'm going to like myself, but I really like New Caney in this game. I know Tomball is a very good 7-4, and you're not always what your record says that you are, but I really like New Caney in this game, and I think that if New Caney is to get to that next round, I almost like their chances against DeSoto.
Chris.
I'm taking New Caney.
Chris going New Caney to the Eagles of New Caney. A historic season for those guys. It's been like since 1974 or 76.
So Ken's graduating year.
Yes, since they went to the area round of the playoffs. Ken, do you want to throw your pick in?
Close.
What year did you graduate?
84.
84. He graduated. You graduated 2 years behind my mom's youngest sister.
Congrats.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Anyway.
So, I got to go with where I'm from, and I got to go with New Caney on this one as well. I think this is going to be a really good football game, and I think it's going to be a pretty tight score. I'm going with the Eagles. I think they're going to win this one and kind of help them set the tempo to face a very, very, very tough DeSoto football team. And, Brian, you've looked at my brackets, and I got New Caney winning through this and losing to DeSoto.
Yeah.
I hope they prove me wrong.
I tell you what, I'm going to go even further. I'm going to say New Caney wins this by 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. I'm putting a note in here. 3 TDs. So I'm highlighting this. That way we have it for next week. And, 3 touchdowns.
And when they win by 20 points, don't come back at me.
Dropping down to 5A Division II. Austin LBJ 9-2, PNG 9-2 at Katie's Road Stadium. Yeah, go ahead and look. Same record. Austin LBJ.
LBJ had such a good season last year. And, Port Neches, it's
067.
I don't want to go first in this. I really don't. I'm going to pick Austin LBJ, and I don't like the pick. I don't feel good about it, but that's the way that I'm going.
So I'll follow suit behind you. And as much as I love Port Neches Grove, I feel like that they're down a little bit this year. Although Rashad Johnson, he's doing a good job over there at Texas playing football. I feel like PNG is a little bit down this year. I'm going to go with LBJ as well in this.
And how wonderful is it that you can have a down year at 9-2?
No, I agree with you. And I hope they prove us wrong because
I do too.
And if you haven't been to a PNG game, it's worth going to because the halftime show alone for Fort Natchez Grove. Dude, it's absolutely phenomenal. I follow them on my sports page. I follow their school and their band. And dude, the way their roll call is as far as when they're freshman class, sophomore class, junior class, when they're times they're supposed to report to get ready for pregame and everything else. And the pregame show is pretty phenomenal that their band puts on.
That whole area down there, the Southeast Texas area down there, it does a fantastic job. Ken and I have gone a couple of different times to where Vider has their halftime during homecoming, and I don't know that anything tops that. But that whole area, they put so much in. Whether it's the football team, the band, the drill team, the fans even showing up to a game that maybe, other teams' fans would not sell out a game. Those teams' fans, they really do. And I don't know that there's any place on the face of the earth that goes to high school football games like Southeast Texas does.
Chris, what's your pick?
I'm going to go unanimous and go with LBJ.
LBJ as well, so we're going across the board, LBJ. And I hate that for PNG, but
hopefully they prove us wrong.
Yes, we will talk about it next week. Dropping down to 4A Division II, Silsbee on the road, and I threw this game in there for one specific reason. Smithville, 5-6. Smithville, that's the town that what was that movie? Hope Floats was filmed in.
I give up. I don't watch movies.
No, Hope Floats. That's where it was filmed, there in Smithville. My wife and I made a trip here a while back, a couple years ago actually, to Wimberley, and we backroaded it all the way back to the house and went through Smithville. She's like, this is where Hope Floats was filmed. We had to go find the house, the whole 9 yards.
Well, I can tell you this. Hope may float all it wants to, but Silsbee's going to beat them.
There's Brian's pick.
I'm going Silsbee. Your story's, sounding good, but it's not going to convince me.
Hey.
He's trying to do that, convince
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince anybody on this one.
So you're taking Smithville?
No, I'm not.
Come on, it's floating. Hope is out there.
So I just threw this one in there because of the simple fact that in the podcast this last week is we talked about how we felt like the bi-district round was so –
And what did you leave out of the pickems to get this one in?
a lot, like Hampshire, Finette, Waco, Conley.
There you go.
But, this is that team that made it through that bi-district round with a losing record. I mean – if they're 5-6, they were 4-6 going into the bi-district round.
And it's the bi-district round like we talk about, like the one that we want to dismiss all the time, but you can't dismiss it because all these games of the playoffs, they mean something, and this is a prime example. But, yeah, I think the dream kind of comes to an end right here.
No, I agree. The fairy tale ending is over, and they should have just opted out of this game. Dropping down to a Division I. Game that we're going to be at here that we're at, 102.3 The Eagle. Listen to all the great play-by-play and color commentary by Craig Irwin and Brian Besh here on the Eagle. But Cooper, 11-0. Corrigan Camden, 10-1. Corrigan's one loss was against the Centerville. We've kind of beat that horse just about as hard as what we can. But I had to throw this game in there. Cooper – I called you on this. I called you yesterday or Tuesday on the stats with what they had. They got a 1,200-yard rusher. They have a 700-yard rusher and a 900-yard rusher. Is that a product of a weak district? We think so.
It's. I mean, one of the other things that you told me that kind of really resonates with me. You've had a team that has had an 11-0 record or a 10-1 record for, the last 2-3 years, and then they've lost each time in the area round. Well, here we are again. We're in the area round, and they're going against a formidable opponent against Corrigan Camden, who has had a very good year and had a very good game, and one of those games to where they probably didn't play their best football and probably and I don't want to blame it on weather, but you've got a game to where there's wind blowing, there's rain, it's very cold, and you probably didn't see the best of the Corrigan Camden football team. I think you may see a better Corrigan Camden football team this week, and it allows them to get the edge over Cooper.
Chris.
You know what? It's going to be a cold night. I'm thinking Cooper's gonna take it over. That ground game, I think there's more to it than a weak district. You got to have a good line. You got to be able to push the ball. You got to hold the ball, and with a good running game, I think you can control the clock.
And they average about 100. Cooper averages about 105 yards a game passing as well. And I didn't throw that in there as I brought this game in.
Which makes a difference because if you only have a ground game, I mean, obviously you can stop that by putting enough people in the box. But if you're dangerous enough to where you can have that threat of, hey, we're gonna throw for 100 yards a game, you can throw that in there.
Keeping the safeties on their toes.
Absolutely.
They can't
No, it
creep
is. And one of the things, Brian, that I brought up in our podcast that we did this week there on the LSG network, but
073.
one of the things that Coach Ratliff in the interview that I was able to listen to on the way home that you did with him is making that halftime adjustment.
Yeah.
One of the things that concerns me is not being able to make that adjustment until halftime.
Yeah.
That's what concerns me with Corrigan. I feel like those adjustments have to be made early on in game action, and that comes from your coaches upstairs.
Sure.
They have to relay that information and quality information down there to the coaches on the sidelines to be able to make those.
There was, to be fair, there was a lot that Garrison was throwing at them. I mean, you've got safeties that are playing in and out of the box, and you've got guys that are coming forward, and they're showing you different looks throughout the game, and Corrigan wasn't able to adjust until halftime, like you say. And what they finally had to do is they went with an overloaded line to one side, and it really confused the Garrison Bulldogs.
No, it did, and that's what pulled Corrigan through in that football game last week against Garrison. With all of that being said, I like the mess out of Coach Ratliff.
Yeah.
And I like visiting him and I since he was on the show in, week 3. Him and I text every week talking about games and Cold Spring games, Corrigan games, Diboll games.
I'll tell you this because I know some of the story. There's a lot of people that applied for that Corrigan Camden job. I don't think they could have picked a better person because you will not find a person that cares more about Corrigan Camden than Coach Ratliff. And you've got a guy that was there during some of the years where they started building that program into what it is now. Whenever they started that and they had a run, I think it was like 22, 23, 24 straight years where they made it to the playoffs. And he was a player during one of those years. He knows the history there. He knows everything about that town. And I don't think you're going to have somebody more invested in that program than he is.
No, and I agree with you. And I'm going to go ahead and throw my pick out there. I'm going with Corrigan in this one. I feel like it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
But Corrigan's going to have to make those adjustments early on in the game when they see it. And with what you said, Garrison threw a lot at them. They were in the gun. They were in the slot, I formation. They changed it up a bunch throughout the game. And Coach Ratliff, at the half, they made those adjustments. They seen where the overload was and where Garrison was running the ball, and they made them adjustments. They were able to execute, and the offense was able to execute. I'm just saying that I feel like that they need to make those adjustments early on and be able to see it. You and I see it up there in the press box. If of course, there's not many coaches that have the knowledge that you and I have as we're calling a game and understand it, but it is what it is.
Well, and one of the good things is Corrigan is very multiple on offense now. In the past, it's been, here it is, and if you like it, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too, because this is what we're going to run. And it was a very, very, very run-heavy offense that depended on the offensive line to create holes, and if they didn't, they weren't going to win that night. This team has a chance to throw out 3-4 receivers if need be. They got 2 or 3 quarterbacks that can get back there, and they can show you many different looks.
Lovelady against Mauld. Lovelady 10-0, Mauld 9-2. Arps Harrington Stadium. I'm going to start this one off. Lovelady's going to be perfect, and I feel like they're going to the semifinals. There it is.
I'm not going to change it. Lovelady.
Lovelady.
It's unanimous
Unanimous
here
again.
at Bullet Grill House here on Wednesday night as we set up here to do the high school sports pregame show. As long as Corrigan's winning and they're still moving on, we're going to be here every Wednesday night doing this high school sports pregame show. Y'all come see us here at Bullet Grill House, and I'd love to see a bunch of Bulldog fans pile up in here and cheer on behind us like a college game day show, like you see on Fox or whatever. That would be pretty cool, just have everybody cheering behind us. But we got heaters here on the patio. Everybody's transferred inside for bingo night here on Wednesday night. And Chris, great lineup here again this week. Jeff Kennedy going to be here. Great food. Let's talk about the burger of the week.
The burger of the month is the Italian burger. So it's a burger patty with some provolone cheese. It's got 3 of our Italian meats: pepperoni, salami, and Canadian bacon. Then it's got 3 mozzarella cheese sticks on top of it with some marinara sauce, all served on Texas toast. It is amazing.
It looked amazing. My wife sent it to me and said, hey, we're going to have to go try this. And I said, I'll let you know Wednesday night. And she didn't come with me. She had every opportunity, and she didn't do it. So you're listening to the Bullet Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show here on 102.3 The Eagle. We're going to send it back to the studio, catch our breath, kickoff coming to you with your Corrigan Camden Bulldogs versus Cooper here in Athens, Texas. We'll see you at the game.